Hi, students. The focus of our discussion today is on research and ethics, or let's say ethical research. Sometimes we are doing research without the knowledge of ethics, so this, the lack of ethical knowledge sometimes, result into, a disaster. So we always have to be very thoughtful if we are involved in a, human research or, sort of animal research. We have to be very much cautious whether we are jeopardizing or harming the subjects in course of doing research. For our personal benefits, we might be forgetting to think on their behalf. So that's why, the research and ethics are very interdependent, like very, joined in intricately. So we must be very aware of that. Okay, so I want to bring highlights a few things when we talk about ethical research. So what is ethics? That's something we would like to discuss. Okay, so when we're talking about what is research ethics, then these are the things that we want to talk about. Okay, so there are a few guidelines for responsible conduct of research. So research ethics is the ethical research is the research that highlights it has something to do with the responsible conduct of research. While doing research, you are supposed to be responsible. So these are the few things that you have to be very much aware of, like honesty. You have to be honest in your research. Similarly, objectivity. You have to be objective when you are doing your research. Try to balance things out. Integrity is also an important thing. Be very careful. Openness, and then respect for intellectual property. We have talked about plagiarism, and also we have talked about getting and citing the ideas and borrowing ideas from other sources. We have to be very mindful of that. If so, you have to let the reader know the source. And also confidentiality is equally important. Some people are not willing to share, they are willing to share the thoughts, but they don't want to let other people know who the person is. So, or there might be other, the confidential document as well. So those are some of the, the important things that you have to be very much aware of. So when we talk about responsible conduct of research, again, you have to be very much responsible for the publications. What is more responsible publication? Also, the credible, publication, responsible mentoring, respect for colleagues, your social responsibility. Those are the things that you should not forget when you are doing your research. What is your responsibility in society? Because a researcher is a responsible person. He or she is trying to contribute to the society doing that research. So some of the information that you bring in and write in your research might have, if it is not right, that might have an adverse effect on society. And also be careful whether you are not discriminating someone in course of doing research. Competence, legality, animal care. Okay, each and every one does have their own right. For example, if you are doing some sort of a research on animals, so for example, think about whether or not your research has been affecting the rights of animals as well. And also you have to be very mindful of protecting the human subjects as well. Okay, so these are the things that come into play when we talk about research and research ethics. And there are five principles of for research. I have also uploaded a reading article to your Georgia View. I basically got these points from there. So when we talk about research ethic principle, these are some of the research ethic principle we can discuss intellectual property frankly. Be conscious of multiple roles. You are a researcher, at the same time you are a person who lives in society. You have many roles, not only of a researcher, but as a researcher you have been there with so many other roles as well. And also follow informed consent rules. If no someone is not willing to answer your question, then you cannot influence the person. Be careful on that. And someone wants to answer the question but wants to keep their name and address secret, then you have to respect that, respect their confidentiality and privacy, and tap into other ethical resources. Okay, And similarly, there are some of the guidelines at research ethics guidelines. For example, the research ethics guides, a source book for social scientists, another ethical guidelines for good research practice, another Australian code for the responsible conduct of research. So there are many, the guidelines for ethical research. So when you get a chance, just to read them. Google them and find out what are kind of research ethics those the books articles talk about. Okay. And talking about the research ethics video, a couple of videos about research ethics. I want to don't want to spend quite a bit of time on that, but if you Google, if you go to the YouTube and then type in a public documentary on the history of research ethics or research ethics, they will bring you tons of videos on research ethics as well. So please go and take a look at those videos. They are very important for you to have a wonderful understanding of research ethics as well. And then there is a talking about in a historical overview of ethical code, or ethics code regarding research. The first one was a Nuremberg Code 1947. Another one is Declaration of Helsinki, which is 1964. The most important one is Belmont Report, which is in 1978. That is the basis of a state of laws. Also, the federal policy also can be defined as a federal policy for the protection of human subject. These days, we have to go through institutional review board as well. When I was trying to do my research, a PhD, writing a dissertation, PhD dissertation, first I proposed that I would interview people with disabilities, but that would bring in so many other works, like I have to go through institutional review board, and then I have to ask the board to pass the proposal. And there are so many questions I have to answer, and it was just a lot of work, just believe me. So that's why I thought the best way is just to not to interview people, rather go with the other theoretical sort of the research method to apply and do research. So I didn't want to do that because of the time and everything. But when if the your research has something to do with the human subjects or something like that, you really have to go through all this IRB process as well, because they are adhere with the to the research ethics guidelines as well. And there are there is an APA, ethical principle of psychology, and code of conduct as well. So these are all the the ethics code. You can go to those articles and then read them as well. Okay, so these are the talking about research ethics. There are a few links, IRB documents and sample checklist. You have to go through what are the research ethics and initial checklist that you have to go through when you are going through the IRB process. There is an adult consent form, the form determination of human subjects, and all those kind of things that you have to fill out and submit before you jump into any of the research that has something to do with human subject. Okay. And then here is a framework also regarding ethical research. I cited this from one of the source I mentioned, forgot to mention that. The moral principle, weighing risk against benefits, who is affected, how research participants are affected, how scientific community is affected, and how society is affected in terms of acting responsibility and with integrity, in terms of seeking justice, and in terms of respecting people's rights and dignity. And from there also you figure it out how ethical your research is as well. Okay. And there is an importance of research ethics. Why it is important? Because it establishes the norms for conduct. It also promotes the aims of research. It makes your research more responsible, and more authentic as well, and reliable and viable. It also maintains values that are essential to collaborative work, such as trust, accountability, mutual respect, and fairness. And that kind of research ethics, any kind of research guided by research ethics makes the person, the researcher, accountable to the public. And also it will build public support for research as well, and also promote a variety of other important moral and social values, such as social responsibility, human rights, animal welfare, compliance with the law, and public health and safety. And for those reasons and purposes, we need we need research, the knowledge. We must have the knowledge of research ethics. And then similarly, we have to make sure that the articles, when we are doing research, make sure that the sources that we borrow ideas from are credible. That's why we have to double check the authentication of the sources, we have to verify the source, we have to check the facts, things like that. Okay. So these are the classwork. I just brought it up. You don't have to pay attention. And there's class discussion. There's a few couple of the statements here for you to discuss or contemplate on your own. And then writing an annotated bibliography is a part of the assignment this week, and that's why I have here given you a brief introduction of how annotated bibliography is written and what is annotated bibliography is. So I'm not going to spend time in how annotated bibliography is different from abstract and things like that. It is a sample of writing an annotated bibliography, so that is not very much of a focus of this week. So that's why I don't want to highlight much. It's just a part of your assignment. So that is it. So that's what I want you to focus on. So again, the research that you have been doing, or if you have been working as a researcher, be very mindful of those research ethics, and and what is ethical research. You must have the knowledge of that as well. So if you have any questions, please let me know.